Because of several deaths involving infants in Luzerne County, the Luzerne County District Attorney, Sam Sanguadolce, has been prompted to pen a letter to county parents and guardians. I'm pleased to be joined by DA Sanguadolce right now to tell us why he wrote the letter and what it has to deal with. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks so much for having me. Basically, I was approached by our Special Victims Unit as we were monitoring the cases, and we realized that in the last 2 weeks we had 3 baby deaths, all of which involved a situation we refer to as co-sleeping, basically adults putting the children in bed with them and then rolling over, unfortunately, on them. Of course, infants, it doesn't take very long to severely injure or suffocate an infant when a full-grown adult rolls over on them. In fact, it's recommended that you don't even put children in bed with infants because of the risks. So because of that alarm, we reviewed the cases, and we're up 10 or more cases this year, which is more than double what we usually see. Historically, we had seen these cases in situations where the adult was intoxicated or under the influence of some controlled substance, which almost, I don't want to say justified it, but it explained, at least to us, well, they rolled over and didn't feel the baby, so they're somewhat responsible. In these cases, we've seen a lot more perfectly sober, otherwise, loving parents basically have this accident happen, which is, of course, devastating to the families, and it's devastating to law enforcement as well. I mean, it is very difficult for us to deal with a situation where we have, a deceased infant.
I can't even imagine. That's horrific. And I know I had asked you too, are charges considered in a case like this? Because this is a really tough situation to deal with.
We investigate every case where we have a suspicious death as though it's a homicide. So we, of course, consider charges. In cases like this, we would have to see if the parents' actions rise to a level of criminal negligence. That's very infrequently the case. On top of the fact that, even if you could rise to that level, it's a very difficult case to bring without any malicious intent. Otherwise, loving parents are, clearly devastated. They have to live the rest of their lives, with this event having occurred and taking the life of their own child. So obviously, that puts a wrench in any consideration of charges, but very, very frequently it doesn't rise to the level of criminal negligence.
When you're doing an investigation into a case like this, do you find that the parents were not aware of that situation, that could happen?
Yes, which is somewhat shocking because we know that the hospitals send home paperwork that give you various basic instruction on caring for a newborn infant. And one of the very specific, almost the first set of instructions is about safe sleeping. And they say not only should you not get in bed with an infant, you shouldn't lay the infant down on the couch. You shouldn't have the infant on any soft surfaces, surrounded by any sheets, blankets, pillows, any toys, any choking hazards. It in fact goes so far as to instruct about the positioning of furniture so that the infant doesn't fall and get wedged between objects, and to ensure that your crib has been approved, because in many years ago we had cases where infants were getting wedged between the slats in a crib. So there are a lot of instructions, and they're pretty basic, but as you can see, if you don't follow the hospital's instructions, we could have a tragic situation.
Have you been in contact with any of the medical professionals, or will you, or anything to try to make it clear maybe to some of the parents?
My staff has. I have not personally. So the local hospitals, we're in touch with experts, of course, all the time on various cases, and we have discussed this issue with them. So we're doing everything we can. That was the point of the open letter, to do everything we can to inform parents who maybe aren't aware. And to be perfectly honest, even sometimes if you're aware, new parents are exhausted. It would be nothing. We had a case several months ago. A parent fell asleep on a recliner, turned sideways, and the infant, fell between the parent and the arm of the recliner. It was, another infant death that, was tragic and unfortunate.
Well, you're getting important information out there, because we don't want to see any more of these, as I'm sure you don't as well. So you just want the public to be educated so that we can keep all these children safe.
Absolutely, and I really appreciate your efforts to help us do that.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Today's news feature is brought to you by Feisner's Ford in Freeland, who is celebrating 75 years in business. Give them a call at 570-636-3920, or you can log on to feisnersford.com.